Welcome back to New Rockstars. This is the big question, the show that gives you too much information about how to beat those charges in court. Get your case thrown out on a technicality, everybody. Run free. Don't let the man keep you down. We all know you didn't do it. My name is MT, and I'm here today with off-screen producer Brandon. What's going on, brother?
That's right, MT. Don't let the man keep you down. Don't ever talk to the cops. Keep your mouth shut. Get your lawyer in there.
Seriously.
What are you doing?
Seriously. It's good advice. If cops ever make you feel like you have to talk to them, you never have to talk to the cops.
Don't talk to them.
You want to talk to your lawyer instead.
Get Daredevil in here. You talk to Daredevil. You don't talk to me.
But what's our big question for today, Brandon?
Well, MT, with the premiere of She-Hulk on Disney Plus just around the corner, we're about to get a look at a more judicial side of the MCU. We've seen a lot of the order. Now it's time to see the law, baby. Once the flashy battles have concluded and all the flying around and the pew 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 projectiles, how do you bring some actual justice to the villains of the MCU? And with the myriad of offenses racked up against them, who in the eyes of the law is the actual biggest baddie out there? It all leads us to this week's big question: who would be the biggest criminal for the Department of Justice to prosecute in She-Hulk?
Well, let's throw the book at all of these criminals, brother, because we're going to take a look at some of the biggest offenders of the MCU and see if we can figure out who would have racked up the most charges. And we'll try and focus on those criminals that are still alive, or at least, potentially still alive. And additionally, we might have to rule out any, aliens, gods, extra-dimensional beings, mainly because they may not be subject to U.S. laws because they live very far away and don't care.
It's true. Are you gonna lock up Dormammu? He doesn't even have hands. How are you gonna handcuff him? What are you gonna do?
It reminds me of one time, it's a really sketchy part of the She-Hulk's history where Eros was on trial. And he was like, you know what? Things aren't going my way. I'm gonna fly away.
Bye.
And She-Hulk had to stop him from flying away. Very messy part of Marvel history. Good luck trying to put a god on trial. And you might be thinking to yourself, that's crazy. Lock those aliens up. Well, that's easier said than done. Plus, look at one of the DOJ's most winnable cases, Loki. Because Loki invaded New York City with an alien army. He caused millions of dollars in damage, and according to some facts thrown out in Civil War, 74 people were killed, which I personally believe is absolute bullshit.
It's gotta be
some
bullshit.
Retconning. No way.
They said
way more than that's hundreds easily.
Thunderbolt Ross said that in Civil War, and I was like, get out of here. You're out of your mind.
Get out
74?
of town. Out
74.
Of town. Bro, they had a freaking space whale knocking over buildings, bro. No way, Jose.
That was like a personal punch by Kevin Feige to Warner Brothers, being like, you killed so many people, and Superman, Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman. MCU, Aliens Attack New York, 74 people died. That's it.
Only 74 people. There's only 6 people fighting these aliens. 74 people. Only 74 people died.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
But did they put Loki on trial? No. They just extradited him back to Asgard. Where's the justice there? I think that sets a precedent that we can use forward today, because aliens and guards aren't really being put on trial.
I mean, that is, when you really think about it, the end of Avengers, when they're they're at the park and Loki and Thor are like, okay, bye. And it's you let this guy go, you let him go. The people in New York should be in the streets hey, will you let Loki go? What's going on? What the f?
Yeah, the people of New York want blood, easily. They don't forget. They want Loki's blood.
They saw a beat up Spider-Man and they were ready to tear Doc Ock apart with their bare hands.
You want to get to him, you got to go through me.
Yo, you ain't getting this boy on our train. You're telling me Loki just walks away from the crime. That's some BS. That's some BS.
That's whack.
Yeah.
That's whack. But hey, what you gonna tell Thor what to do? Not me at all.
I guess not.
So with all that in mind, let's begin by going through our candidates for the biggest legal criminal in the MCU. And we'll start off with a big screen defendant who we are going to be seeing on She-Hulk, Abomination. And let's list some of the Abomination's crimes here. Because first, there's obviously property damage throughout all of Harlem. We also have the assault on Bruce Banner, as well as random civilians, throughout his tenure of being the Abomination. A lot of civilians got hurt.
He's beating up people. Yeah, he's beating up people. You can't allow it.
The manslaughter of citizens, police, and soldiers. There was a cover story on the New York Bulletin that said that there were several dozen citizens, police officers, and military personnel were killed.
So we have the New York Bulletin, which also, it shows up in the movies. They've been reading it and stuff. But it also shows up on like this, the Netflix shows. And this is pre-Disney getting those rights back. But Ben, in his office, you can see a bunch of articles. I think there is an article cover you can see of like the Duel of Harlem or the Battle of Harlem, whatever they call it. And there's a little thing at the bottom where it says like several dozen citizens. So multiple factors of 12. Number of citizens, police officers, and military personnel were killed. Almost 76. We have to also look at, there's a similar cover that was done for like the Battle of New York that had said like hundreds dead or something like that. Now these were on the TV shows, so we don't know how much they translate over. Is this like a different timeline where there also was a Battle of New York and there also was a Duel of Harlem, where the death counts are higher? I don't know. Newspapers exaggerate? Maybe. I don't know what the answer is here. At least go back and watch The Incredible Hulk. One person had to die, at least. We'll say at least one person is dead.
Yeah.
But he's definitely killing like police and military personnel. I don't know about civilians, but like he's definitely murdered people. So he's got, we'll say it's manslaughter, right? Because it's not premeditated. He wasn't like, I'm gonna turn into the Abomination and kill this guy. He just turned into the Abomination and he killed some people. Now he could plead insanity, but I don't know. We'll see. What else? What other crimes does this man have?
Well, I guess technically we could also say stealing government property, because the Hulk's blood, at least in Ross's eyes, is government property.
That's a good point. Because Banner turns into Hulk while he's working for Ross, right? And he's hired by the government. And so he probably had to sign a contract that was like, any intellectual property I come up with while I'm working for you, you guys own. So in theory, they own his blood. Yeah, I like that.
Technically.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, technically he is property of the U.S. government, much like they sort of viewed, Johnny Mayonnaise as property of the U.S. government in a way.
And Vision. Vision was property of the U.S. government as well. Even though I think that's questionable.
Well,
that's questionable. He's really the property of Dr. Cho. He's Dr. Cho's property, in my mind.
This is true. She made Vision.
Yes, in her own lab.
She was the only human there.
That was not a U.S. government facility. That was her personal lab. Maybe she was being funded by the Korean government. I don't know. But Vision belongs to Helen Cho. Give him back.
Seriously, they should be married instead. Yeah. I stand Helen and Vision.
That's where I hope White Vision goes to find Helen Cho and he's like, take me back.
That is so true. Like, people don't really, I've never considered Helen Cho as like a person that White Vision would go to, but like she's
the creator. She's the creator.
But also false imprisonment of Samuel Stearns and making him inject Blonsky with, more of that Hulk blood. Because like he sort of held Samuel Stearns against his will. So he's like, hey, give me some of that blood. I want to be crazy. And Samuel's like, sure, I'm also crazy.
Yeah, I am also a crazy man.
We're both Hulk villains.
You can put that gun down. I will give this to you for free. Yeah, he did force him to inject him. Okay. Yeah, I take that. Now you say he wants to go crazy. This is the thing. Do we think that Emil on She-Hulk is going to like plead insanity for any of this? Because he was kind of tricked into it, right?
I think so.
Like Thunderbolt Ross is like, oh, I need you to do this thing for me. I'm going to give you a little goof juice. It's going to make you happy. He didn't really tell him what he was facing, right? He's like, I'm going to make you a little bit stronger because the guy you're after, he's a little tough. And Emil Blonsky was like, I can beat him. I don't need it. And then he got his back broken.
No, I think that Abomination is sort of going with this like weird, trying to trick the public into like, I was crazy in the past, but like now I'm calm. Because like it seems like from these She-Hulk promo material that like he's started a cult. He started this weird like Abamaste, which is like a play on Namaste, Abamaste cult. I mean, and he has like girls with flower wreaths watching him. And it's just like I think he's making a case for himself. It's like, I'm cool now. Like, you can let me go. Like, I'm totally fine. But we all know he's not fine. And he should stay behind bars. Let's talk about Aldrich Killian. Because he went boom thanks to Pepper Potts in Iron Man 3. But who knows how extreme this extremist stuff really is. Like, maybe he's not dead forever. Like, maybe he could have somehow reformed. I think that's 100% within the realms of possibility.
If his little brain stem is still there, maybe it can still grow a whole body.
Exactly.
I don't know.
The whole theme of that movie was regenerating limbs and regenerating your body. So like, if anyone is going to survive being blasted, it's Aldrich Killian. But for the sake of this big question today, even though it may or may not be possible, let's just say he survived. So like, what charges could the DOJ bring up against Mr. Killian? Okay, so first of all, we got fraud easily because like he deceived the government to receive funding for a disabled veterans program.
Yeah, he wasn't telling them what's up.
Yeah, like, and he was likely deceiving private investors as well. So that's kind of messed up. We also can add negligence tied to product liability because essentially knowing that extremis is blowing people up, not the best thing ever. Like, he knew the risk. He's like, 50-50. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah. I know it's blowing people up, but I gotta keep trying.
Right? I mean, like, nothing ventured, nothing gained. You can't make an omelet without cracking a few eggs.
Yeah. And we know that one guy blew up a bunch of people in a bar. Like, those people should all still be alive because he knew that his product was faulty. But he was still trying it on people.
Also, assault on many people, including a waiter at a hotel.
Good evening.
And Pepper Potts and Tony Stark. He did a lot of assaulting in that movie.
Yeah, he assaulted a lot.
He did not care about the law. He had a glowy fire breath. He was ready to use it. I mean, I don't blame him. But yes, destruction of property, big time.
Big time.
You definitely use that breath on a lot of property. And all those veterans helped him in his plans. But they were evil veterans, but not the good veterans that we love. And
some of them just wanted some help. Some of them chose the side of violence, but some of them wanted some help.
I wish we saw more of their side in the movie. It's just like, yeah, we're just like the minions, but like they were just looking for a better future.
They wanted their arm back. They wanted their leg back. That's all. That's all.
We see that some of them are still alive in Shang-Chi. They're fighting in that tournament.
Oh, that's a good point.
Pretty fun.
Good point.
But also, we could also talk about domestic terrorism because, basically funding everything that Trevor Slattery, the Mandarin, was doing as the fake Mandarin.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big crime.
That's a big crime.
Being a terrorist. False imprisonment and kidnapping of Pepper Potts, James Rhodes, and Tony Stark, of course, among others. God knows how many people he's kidnapped. Probably kidnapped a lot of people. He had a whole compound full of potentially kidnapped people. Terrible person. And also attempting to kidnap President Ellis and crashing a plane, putting several people at risk. I mean, he did kidnap President Ellis, basically.
Yeah. They got him back, but he did. Yeah, it's true. It was a full-on kidnapping. We'll say it went through. Like, this guy is a menace. He's insane.
Like, straight up insane.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, anything in the name of science, let's go.
Yeah.
See, like, that's the reason why Tony didn't want to go in the elevator with him. He had a feeling. He was like, this guy's crazy.
He could tell.
Like, the way he was moving, he was like, come on, Tony. I'm going to just destroy the world. He's like, I'd rather get laid. Sorry, nerd.
Hey, what if we brought the president over? I mean, come on, let's just go get the president.
Let's kidnap the president, Tony. I love flashback Killian. He was such a nerd.
Man, so good.
Such a huge nerd.
So good.
Nerd! But also, speaking of Iron Man villains, let's go to Justin Hammer. Because our next candidate apparently already had his day in court because he was in jail. Because the last time we saw Justin Hammer, he was at the Seagate Penitentiary serving time for all of his terrible crimes in Iron Man 2. Built all those drones. He was like, oh, it wasn't me. And then I was like, yes, it was you. You're arrested.
You're arrested. Boom. Gotcha.
He created Whiplash and who may or may not still be alive. I don't know. His trial will certainly be a big deal if it has already happened. So it's possible that they've just kept him locked up and hidden away in secrets. And not even all of the prisoners at Seagate were aware of the millionaire inmate in their midst, though there were some who knew exactly who he was. But what charges could be brought up against Justin Hammer? Well, let's start with aiding and abetting the escape of an international terrorist, Ivan Vanko. He totally did that.
Yeah, he helped him get out of jail. And this guy, he didn't really, I won't say he created Whiplash. Like, Ivan Vanko, he's angry, he's in Russia, his bird.
I want my bird.
A bird.
Hey,
there he is. It's the Birdman.
Bird.
It's cold. And he sees Tony.
His only friend is Bird.
Yeah, his only friend's a bird. Tony's having a good time. His dad's dead. He's like, well, I build electric cables and whips. Maybe build armor here, build some armor here. I'm not going to tell you to do your job, Ivan, okay? But so he makes himself. He does the whole thing at Monaco. Very cool. We're all into it. And Justin helps this guy break out. Not cool. Not cool.
Not cool, Justin. Not cool and very illegal. I think they killed a person in the process of breaking him out of prison. Like, yeah, that was pretty messed up. And of course, another crime is associating with the Hydra organization via Senator Stern. Because that dude was mega Hydra.
Yeah, he could claim ignorance here. I think Justin could claim ignorance. on this one, but I think they're gonna slap
He
this.
could. He
They're gonna
probably get
slap
away
this
with that.
charge on him. They're gonna slap it on him.
This me waiting to get slapped by legal. I'm on the edge of my seat.
They're gonna be like, no, you're in trouble.
Yeah, if I'm a good lawyer, I'm gonna slap that charge.
Because they set up at the
Just slap that
beginning.
charge.
Yeah, if you're a good lawyer, you get this guy.
I'm a really good lawyer.
Because that whole Senate trial at the beginning of, or congressional hearing at the beginning of Iron Man 2, it's clear that Stearns and Hammer had a whole plan. They're like, we're going to get in there, and then we're going to lay this down on him, and then I'm going to walk in, and I'm going to be dramatic, and blah, 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 blah. And then Tony, some crimes of his own, hacking, shows up what's really going on here, okay? But Justin, he's going to go down for this. He's going to get tied in with this whole Hydra breakdown.
Oh, for sure. Like it's all these villains know each other.
Yeah.
They're all friends.
They're all
Just like
friends.
take them all by association.
Lock him up.
Lock them all up, I say. We also have negligence with weapons, because whatever damage and destruction Ivan Vanko caused could be laid at Hammer's feet, because like it was basically all of his technology being used here. And with Vanko dead, the government would want someone to take the fall, and that someone would be Justin Hammer.
Yeah, because he can claim like, hey, I didn't know what this guy was doing. He's in my lab. He locked me out. He locked me out of the software. But yeah, because I think Whiplash was dead. He's kind of just like slumps over, right? Like he's dead.
This is true.
They're gonna blame Hammer for all this.
He sort of had an off-screen death in a way, because
Yeah.
it's implied that yes, his thing exploded right after the beeps, but
Right.
like he could have waited like for them to leave and be like, well, taking this off and I'm leaving.
And I'm gone. Also, wear a helmet, Vanko. Wear a helmet. What's wrong with you?
Yes.
One headshot,
Why-
you're
why?
dead.
Come on,
wear a
man.
helmet.
And that's why we wear a helmet.
Something you kind of mentioned, MT, and it could be possible. Like, we saw Justin Hammer in Seagate Prison in the All Hail the King one shot, right? And I think he's kind of referenced in Luke Cage, because Luke Cage was also at Seagate. It was like, he didn't really know. Anyways, Hammer may not have faced his trial yet. He could just be like locked up, and they're like, we don't want to have this trial yet. It's going to expose too much. I think so much time has happened that he must have been put on trial by now. Unless they've got him hidden away and they're telling the public, oh, Hammer's dead too, but they just have him like locked up somewhere. But I think they would want this trial because this is a guy they can nail. This looks good for them. Boom, easy conviction.
Well, yeah, easy shut in case. I think that like he's been well convicted a long time ago. Like that whole situation was too much of a big deal for there not to be a fast conviction, because there's too many eyes on it.
Yeah, ruined the Stark Expo. It ruined the Stark Expo.
Absolutely ruined it. My goodness, they had to redo it again. But there's another potentially dead villain that might not actually be dead, who, if he does return, could actually be brought up on big charges. And that someone is Darren Cross from Ant-Man 1. Because while we saw him viciously shrunk down into the quantum realm in literally the most gruesome fashion, like one of the most gruesome body horrors of the MCU, good God, Janet Van Dyne proved that it is possible to survive and be brought back. So if they do ever bring Darren Cross back, what charges could he face? Well, right off the bat, associating with criminal and terrorist organizations for the purposes of illegal arms sales. Hydra. He was working with a man called Mitchell Carson, who used to be a S.H.I.E.L.D. director of security, and he was actually Hydra, because S.H.I.E.L.D. was Hydra.
Yeah.
And so after Hydra fell, he was like, hey, let's work with Darren Cross, because it's going to make a little tiny army for us, which
Oh
would
my
actually be
gosh.
terrible.
Frightening.
Whoo! Like, actually, it would have been, like, Ant-Man really saved the day here, because, like, Hydra having Ant-Man technology would have absolutely been terrible. Murder, also. Big charge. He killed our boy Frank.
Arrest this man. Lock him up.
One of the most gruesome deaths in the MCU again.
Terrible.
I feel like that gun would be, if you made that into a gun form, I feel like war would be a lot less bloody.
It basically was a lot less bloody.
I mean, yeah. You just turn into a little, like, gooey
Oh,
blood.
those will be some good letters home to parents. Like, we sent your boy off to war. He was on the battlefield. Something happened. I don't know, but he's tiny goo now. We can't find him. The end.
Put him inside this letter.
Empty. The solution to all
wrote this
wars
letter
is
with
not
the
this
goo.
gun. It's not this gun. That is not the solution to all wars.
But yes, there's also investor fraud, because he's been lying about the efficiency of his tech to investors, because he didn't 100% have the pimp particle formula down. He was like, yeah, I've got it. Don't worry. Just gotta kill this old man first.
Yeah. He's definitely lying
big
to
deal.
some investors for sure.
Manslaughter, of course, because 2 helicopter pilots got killed by the lasers on the Yellow Jacket suit. But also, there's also breaking and entering Cassie Lang's house, plus the false imprisonment of Cassie Lang. Breaking into a little girl's house, that's
not
jail
good.
forever,
It's not good.
in my opinion.
1 million years dungeon.
no bueno. Leave little girls' bedrooms alone, I say.
Yeah. Yeah, you better stay in that quantum realm, buddy, because if you come back to our realm, we're locking you up. You're going to the big house.
So I was going to be like, Chris Hansen's going to be waiting for him. He's like, excuse me, we got to talk about some things, sir.
He's just like, in the same space, he's just like, and he comes back, and he's like, oh, I made it back. Thank God. And then Chris Hansen walks into the room like, so, you like to be around little kids, huh? He's like, oh, boy,
like,
here we go.
Why don't you have a seat there, Darren?
Yeah. He's like naked because he was in the quantum realm, but he's like, so you like to shrink down, huh? Interesting.
I was like, interesting.
Also, Frank was my cousin. Blah, 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 blah.
Because while we're in the Ant-Man universe, we could also touch on Sonny Birch for a moment. Because while not the biggest criminal mastermind, he does face a few charges, including dealing in illegal and stolen weapons and technology. That's his whole deal. He's a weapons dealer. He's very proud of it. He's like, I deal with a lot of shady people and I make a lot of money. So give me that quantum energy, Hope Van Dyne.
Is this your Walton Goggins impression? I'm loving it.
Yeah,
this is good.
I don't know what I'm doing.
This is good.
Like, hey, I'm a bad person. There's that. There's also the false imprisonment of the ex-con boys, T.I. and friends, injecting someone with drugs against their will. Big crime.
Big crime.
That was the truth serum. That wasn't a truth serum, but was totally a truth serum. And the reckless endangerment during the car chase through San Francisco. A lot of people were in danger there.
You could lay all that at their feet. There was definitely destruction. Someone might have been in a minor accident causing some damage. And while some of it you could argue is Ant-Man and the Wasp's fault, I think they're just going to pin it all on Sonny Birch. Plus, he's definitely getting convicted because he was captured. He had the truth serum and it was just leaking all the truth.
He was confessing everything. We also need to add restaurant negligence because he confesses
that's right.
in the movie.
Right. Add it to the list.
Sonny Birch, you're going to jail.
He's a big time criminal.
But let's talk about a different criminal now, because another criminal who has already been locked up is Adrian Toomes, aka Vulture. Even though, he got arrested and thrown in prison and got out by a weird multiverse technicality in Morbius. I don't know. Spoilers for Morbius if you haven't seen it.
If you're holding out on Morbius, what are you doing?
Bro, if you haven't seen Morbius, just watch the post-credit scene because that's the only thing you need to watch. But what were the crimes of Adrian Toomes? Let's talk about theft.
Let's talk about theft, baby.
Because that's his whole big deal, his big spiel in Homecoming. He loves stealing alien tech, especially from government agencies like the Department of Damage Control. He was all about stealing and selling black market weapons, which is weapons trafficking, which is his second crime, because he was overseeing the production and the sales of weapons using highly illegal technology, very dangerous technology that was very reactive to like different types of radiation, like X-ray or radiation, like in the Washington Monument. Also, the destruction of government property, because the Washington Monument, sort of on him in a way.
Yeah.
Because, like, if he never stole it, like, could they pin that on him? I don't know.
Well, but also any facility he's breaking into, right? Any trucks that he's damaging as part of his theft, that's all government property. Boom. Easy. Lock him up.
Yes, true. And also, just the nature of his being, he violated protected airspace just by flying around, but also being on that plane and trying to steal all that technology from Tony Stark.
Yeah, he tried to hijack that plane. Big violation.
And assaulting a minor. We got to talk about this because Peter was a teenager throughout that entire ordeal. So Peter would have been underage during their fight, but does the memory spell wipe clear that charge from his record?
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, if they bring him up on... We know he was in jail, and he was in jail...
Right.
For whatever. He probably wasn't in jail for assaulting Spider-Man because they don't know who Spider-Man is at this point. But eventually they would figure it out in Far From Home. At the end of Far From Home, they figured it out. So now they know he's a teenager. He's under 18 at the time of these crimes. You could go back and throw that on there maybe. But then the memory spell would happen and they'd be like, oh, never mind. We don't know what this charge is for. We'll wipe that one off.
I think that assaulting a minor might be thrown out because they don't know that Spider-Man's a minor.
Right. But even if they know, let's say they know Spider-Man's a minor, I think you could say like, well, Spider-Man put himself in that situation. It's not like he went to Spider-Man's house and is like, put your fists up, sucker. It's time for a fight. Like, Spider-Man got involved in all this. Yeah, okay,
True.
That's fine. We'll let him walk on that. We'll let him walk on that charge.
Okay. But he's still going to jail for a long time.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Morbius anyway. Thanks, Morbius.
Thanks, Dr. Michael Morbius.
But now here's an interesting one that could be considered Wanda Maximoff. Because using the parameters that we've established today, do we think that Wanda could be brought up on charges for the actions in Westview.
Okay, MT, let's think about this, all right? She is Sokovian. She doesn't have an American citizenship. And we think that the Sokovia Accords kind of wiped the slate clean for everybody, right? They were like, yeah, we're gonna have these, and if you were a superhero and you did something, and you're cool. Because in this scenario we've set up, right, the Department of Justice, they can't go after aliens, they can't go after like interdimensional beings. They kind of stay away from like, they're going after like US citizens who are committing these crimes. She's not one, but she commits this crime on US soil. The Westview, this would be all the Westview stuff, right? This happens after the Sokovia Accords. So what could they charge her with? They could charge her with, I guess, like false imprisonment, right? Because she imprisoned that whole town.
That's true.
That's like hundreds of people with false imprisonment.
That's a huge crime.
Destruction of property. Some things get destroyed, I would say.
Yeah, I would say so as well. I mean, like, mind control, I feel like there's like a huge...
Is there a crime for mind control? Is mind control a crime?
That's not, well...
Is that on the books?
I guess like, sort of like she forced her will on somebody, on a bunch of people. So like that, someone, like forcing yourself on someone else, I think that's a crime.
Like
in some capacity, I don't know.
Most definitely, that's a fair. Yes, no one's arguing that, MT. And there's also children involved. I would say destruction of property.
Yeah.
And then, did anyone die in Westview? Did any like soldiers or police officers die? They get changed, but they don't necessarily like ever die. No one got killed, right? Besides Vision, who dies all the time.
I don't think anyone died in Westview, but like maybe but we don't know if any of those kids were hurt, because like some kids might have allergies or like sicknesses, and like,
and they were like,
who knows? Like,
I have to eat chocolate today, because she's like, she's not working hard on like the outer ones, right? They're mostly just like sleeping or standing still. But one of them, she's like, yeah, kids like chocolate, eat some chocolate. And the kids like, eat chocolate. So yeah, we'll pin assault. We'll pin assault definitely on her. But here's the thing: if Sokovia is like not gonna, if she like she leaves, right? They kind of let her leave, but who's going to stop her? How are you going to arrest the Scarlet Witch? You can't arrest her. You can't put her in jail. You'd have to involve the Sorcerer Supreme, but she's stronger than the Sorcerer Supreme. So you're never going to get her arrested, and you're never going to get her in a courtroom. It's not safe for anybody in there. I think they just let her go. That's why they let her. They were like, we're not even going to try.
I think that they might take a page out of the Clandestine's book and just like exile her, which is something that Wanda wanted anyway. Wanda wanted to leave the universe.
I like
anyway.
that.
So they'd probably be like, Doctor Strange, kick her out, because like she give her what she wants, like put her out of here.
I like this idea, MT, that she leaves and the Department of Justice is like, well, you can't ever come back. How about that? Boom. Problem solved. Next case.
Don't come back, period.
We're not going to come after you, but please don't ever come back. We're begging you, please.
We have to use Westview as the point for like the charges that Wanda could be brought up on, because like all the things that she did in Multiverse of Madness weren't necessarily on U.S. soil, a lot of them, but also no one really knew what she did. Like all of her actions in Multiverse of Madness were unknown to the eyes of the general public. Like it's mainly a Kamar-Taj, like mystical realm thing that happened, and all the people that died were mainly magic people. So like, as far as people in New York know, Wanda is just chilling. Like they don't really know where she's at.
She's never gonna do anything wrong.
Unless someone snitches on her about being in charge of Gargantos, they could blame all the Gargantos stuff on her. Unless Steven's a little bitch, it's got a snitch on her.
But honestly, I don't think that Steven said anything, because like we saw that the Illuminati erected a statue for Steven. It's like, yo, people need heroes. People need someone to believe in. And because that Wanda destroyed the Darkhold at the end of the movie, I think Steven is going to do the same thing and like erect a statue for Wanda and be like, she saved everyone, and she's a hero, and she died being a hero. And so I think that that's what they were setting up there. So I think people don't really know.
You're off the hook, Wanda. You're off the hook, Wanda.
You're off the hook for everything after Westview. You're totally fine.
You're fine. Please don't hurt me.
But who do we think is the biggest criminal in the MCU in the eyes of the U.S. government?
I mean, I think it's got to be our boy Aldrich Killian, right? He is a big-time criminal. Capital C criminal. This is huge.
Yeah, like he kidnapped the president.
Yeah. Like even the stuff you could get like Wilson Fisk on. If you even take just Daredevil's Wilson Fisk, and we know he gets arrested and goes to jail, his crimes are nothing. A little murder here and there, please. Kidnap the president and then talk to me, all right? Fun to
there's no higher crime.
Create a domestic terrorist and then talk to me, okay? Like, come on, get out of here. Get out of here. Aldrich Killian is the number one bad guy.
It's got to be Killian.
Yeah.
I would say Killian. Who would give him a run for his money? Maybe Loki would, but like Loki.
Yeah.
can't
Oh,
be-
that's a good point. I think. Yeah, I think Loki would give him a run for his money, even though only 74 people died. That's got to be a lie. Total lie. Total lie. Stop lying to us, government.
Stop. You lying motherfucker. Stop.
Yeah, I think, you would put Loki as like a bigger criminal, but you could never even put Loki on trial. Like, unless you had the technology to keep him locked up and like wrapped up, but like, Loki's gonna live for 5,000 years. What jail are you gonna put him in? Like, it doesn't even make sense.
It's true.
You can't stop
It's true. Like, they're just going to send him to Asgard anyway. It's like,
The second you turn your back, he's gonna shapeshift into the guard, and you're gonna be like, how'd you get in the cell? Get out of there, Jerry. And then he's free again.
seriously.
Boom.
Like, Loki could escape the raft if he wanted to.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
this dude is just like...
Easy.
But yeah, I would definitely agree. Ardris Killian is probably the biggest
He's
bad
huge.
of all. If he's still alive.
Yeah.
If you were out there, Killian, you better keep running.
They need to regrow that buddy and put him on trial.
But be sure to head on over to newrockstarsmerch.com to check out all of our awesome merch options. Because right now we have our latest Accession shirt, Worthy of Love, inspired by Thor, Love and Thunder. That shirt is limited edition and won't be available for much longer. So make sure you grab it while you can and support the channel and all the great work that we do by heading on over to newrockstarsmerch.com today. And also, did you know that New Rockstars has a live show that happens every weekday right here on our YouTube channel? That's right, everybody. The Break Room goes live every weekday at 3 p.m. Pacific, and it's broadcast from our actual break room at New Rockstars HQ. We talk about all the biggest nerd news from the day, interact with the chat, and even manage to have a little mandatory fun every now and then. So check out the Break Room on our channel and be sure to join us live if you can, because we'd love to have you. It's really fun. But yes, now it is time for our bite-sized questions. Brandon, are you ready?
Oh, baby, I love a little bite-sized question.
Eat that bite-size. Munchkin. Now, Brandon, are there Kang variants in the Andrew or Toby Spider-Verse? And this is from Omart37 on Discord.
I mean, I think you got to say most definitely, right, MT? You know, He Who Remains laid out in Loki that there were multiple universes stacked on top of each other, and with those other universes come other Kangs. And while he doesn't in that episode outright say that every universe has a Kang, I would reason he's like a pretty standard figure, right? Like maybe even a Nexus being. Like Kang he's got to be there, right? He's a focal point of every universe. Now, since we know that both Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield universes are connected to the MCU, and the death of He Who Remains allowed them to be pulled into the MCU, it means that there's a high probability that their universes also contained Kangs, right? Their universes are very similar to the MCU in so much that it's Earth and it's got New York City and they got Spider Boys, right? It's not like one of them came from that like liquid paint universe we saw in Multiverse of Madness. Like the Kang from that universe might be very strange or maybe not exist at all. It's just like a glob of paint or something. And he can't really get his act together. Kang. Not very useful. Now, here's one thing I was thinking, MT. Let's say that, like, because those universes have, like, Marvel heroes, they also have a Kang. Could their Kangs already be dead? Like, could they have been killed by another Kang or something like that? And they're just, like, left. Like, what if the reason, like, their universes don't have, like, Avengers and all these other heroes is because a Kang got to their universe and, like, pruned it in, like, a weird way where he, like, killed their Kang and that, like, stopped anything else from happening. So there's a Spider-Boy, but there's nothing else. Like, what if that's what happened in their universes?
I think that there are definitely multiple Kangs in different like universes, and I think that the Kang He Who Remains killed all of those Kangs in the past, and like they all had their own versions of TVAs. And I think that like the Raimi universe has a Kang, Andrew Garfield has a Kang, the X-Men universe has a Kang, and I think that like the X-Men universe could potentially be where Loki went to at the end of Loki, where Sylvie sent him to. Because like we see a whole new TVA and a statue of Kang that's already erected. I think that TVA could have had a Kang that was killed, and whoever is like in the seat of He Who Remains in that universe, in that multiverse rather, is sort of like passing off Kang as like, oh yeah, he's your god, but like, you know, he's dead, and like I'm the real god. Okay. And like that could be Renslayer, that could be whoever's in charge.
I like that idea. I like the idea that there's multiple Kangs who act like He Who Remains, and they all thought that they were the ones that were like, I'm gonna shield myself from all the other Kangs. When in actuality, there was a bunch of Kangs doing that, keeping their little universes safe. Oh, I love this, MT. I love it. So many Kangs.
Yeah, so many Kangs. But here's Here's another question for you, Brandon. August 13th is International Left-Handers Day. So are there any Marvel or DC characters identified as left-handed? And this is from Millennial on Discord. Thank you, Millennial. Hopefully your millennium gets a little bit more exciting.
Yeah,
Millennial.
This is a real millennium for sure. So it seems like about 10% of the population considers themselves left-handed, all right? And so I was looking into this, and like they don't really say which heroes and villains are like left-handed. Like a lot of people are like, oh, Captain America uses his left arm as his shield arm. And some people argue that this means he's left-handed because he'll throw with that arm sometimes. I don't know. It's very confusing. And a lot of times I saw drawings where it was on both sides. And I think that's like a lot of how it is for a lot of these heroes because they're so smart and strong and ambidextrous or whatever. They can just use whatever hand they want to use. It doesn't matter. Well, like the same thing for Bucky. People are like, oh, because his left arm is his metal arm, maybe he's left-handed now. I'm like, I don't know. I don't think so.
Why didn't you use the metal arm?
Well, I don't always think of it immediately. I'm right-handed.
It's hard to say. It's really hard to say. But there is an obscure Marvel villain named Left Hand who comes from the New Warriors comics of the early 1990s. Don't we just love the New Warriors? And he's called Left Hand because he shoots destructive energy from his left hand. But honestly, I don't know if he writes with that hand or not. He has to use that hand for his power, so they call him left hand. I don't know if he's like actually left-handed or he's like, well, I have to shoot it out of here. Now, I think we can count Hellboy as left-handed, okay? Though he's not Marvel or DC, he's Dark Horse, so this goes outside of your question.
Right.
But because his big, stone hand is his right hand, he's definitely using his left hand to like do stuff. He's not writing with the stone hand. He's not cooking with it. He's not petting a dog. He's using his left hand to do a lot of stuff. So I will say, boom, Hellboy's left-handed. He's got to be left-handed. Then, of course, there's the famous Green Lantern villain, Sinestro, who is often shown wearing his ring on his left hand. And this is sort of like...
He's married.
Because he's married. This is sort of like an Easter egg kind of thing that the artists like to do a lot. Because apparently, Sinestra is the word from which sinestro is derived. It's a Latin word, and it means left in ancient Latin. But thanks to folklore over time, like left-handedness became associated with evil, which is really messed up. Sorry to all my left-handed people out there. My mother's left-handed. She's not evil, I promise. But because of all this like association with like the left hand and like evilness and the devil, the word sinister came about from Sinestra. And Sinestro is very similar to sinister. So a lot of the artists have started putting the power ring on Sinestro's left hand to kind of signify like, oh, he's that evil. That's how sinister he is. He even puts his ring on his left hand. He's crazy. He's left-handed, man. It's crazy.
We should have never trusted him as soon as he put that Green Lantern ring on his left hand.
We should have never trusted him.
We knew he was going to betray us.
Also, this is just another great way to point out how it's insane that humanity has made it this far when we were a bunch of crazy people wandering around being like, that man's left-handed, he must be evil. Kill him immediately. Like, what is wrong with people?
Witch!
A witch!
Left-handed, probably a witch.
Now, here's a good one, MT. So in the MCU, Ulysses Klaue's weaponized arm is his left arm. And it looks like a hand, and then it opens up, and it's got a gun, and blah, 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 blah. But in the comics, it's his right arm that is the weapon. And in the comics, it's not like his weapon arm is like a fake hand that opens up. It's like this crazy gun thing.
Like contraption.
Yeah. So because in the comics, that's his right arm, he has to be using his left hand in the comics. So our boy Claw is definitely left-handed. Ulysses Claw, left-handed, write it down. He's your winner,
Confirmed.
Baby. Confirmed. Here's another fun little tidbit. Scarlett Johansson and Jeremy Renner, the actors, are both left-handed. You can see pictures of them signing autographs with their left hand. But it seems like, for the most part, their characters are ambidextrous. So, you can't say Black Widow and Hawkeye are left-handed because they're peak humans. They can use any hand they want. They're incredible at everything. You can't stop them.
I think they train you in both ambidextrousness in the Red Room.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that they.
It's the only good thing they do in the Red Room. The only good thing.
The only good thing.
Oh my gosh!
Really?
Thank God that guy's dead. Bring him up on charges.
The worst.
But here's what matters the most, folks. For International Left-Handers Day, our beloved Stan Lee, he was left-handed. Bless.
It's true.
Not an evil man either.
Bless
not an
his
evil
heart.
man. He's a good guy.
Not evil.
R.I.P. Stanley, we miss you. Bless you and your left hand. Mourn you till we join
Yes, you got to remember, Spider-Man was created with a left hand.
It's true.
Never forget it.
Never forget it.
Never
That's
forget
why
it.
he's evil. We gotta get this Spider Menace.
That's why he's a menace.
If J. Jonah Jameson could ever prove that Spider-Man was left-handed, he would print that on the front page.
Why don't you back it up with a source?
My source is that I made it the f up.
Yeah, like open and shut case.
I did see
Spider-Man left-handed.
I did see someone point out that, like, I think Tom Holland uses his left hand to talk on the phone. So people were saying, like, oh, Spider-Man's left-handed. But again, he's too smart. He can use whatever hand he wants. It doesn't affect him.
I use my left hand to talk on the phone sometimes.
Yeah, I do too.
But I'm right-handed.
I don't know. People are crazy.
That's weird.
These left-handed maniacs, they want to claim anyone they can. They've got to be stopped.
Those monsters must be stopped.
They're evil.
We
They're
love
the
you,
devil.
left-handed. But here's our box of scraps time, Brandon. It's time for the box of scraps. You ready?
Put it in a cave with a box of scraps.
I'm opening a fake box. I'm opening the box. I took something out of it. It's a scrap.
Oh.
I'm eating it.
Oh,
I've
don't
choked
eat. No,
to death,
you're supposed to
and I'm
build
dying.
with the box of scraps. Not eat the box of scraps.
It's too late. I need surgery on my chest.
I've eaten
To keep
scraps.
the shrapnel from getting to my heart.
That's how you become Iron Man. You eat the scraps to become.
Exactly. I'm trying to become Iron Man. All right, Brandon, our box of scraps question of today is, if you had to be a villain in the MCU, which villain would you want to be?
This is a dark question. I don't want to be a bad. I want to be a bad guy, but I don't want to be a bad guy. You know, you don't want to be like the worst of the worst.
I would be the Tinkerer.
The Tinkerer?
Tinkerer's just chilling.
Okay. That's good. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. You can blame your crimes on other people. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, he was just like, I'm just messing with alien stuff.
I didn't tell him to use it as a gun. I was just trying to make stuff.
Right?
I was just trying to make stuff.
I'm just making guns. People just pick the guns up. I don't know.
I think, this is dark to say. I think I'd want to be Justin Hammer. He's got a pretty.
Yo, he's cool.
He's got a pretty
That's a
sweet
cool
gig.
dude.
I think if you could, I would keep my ego in check. I would be like, it's okay to be the number 2 manufacturer of weapons in the world. That's fine. I don't need to be number 1. I got this private plane. I got self-tanning lotion. I'm gonna be okay. I got sweet dance moves. Yeah, I think I'd be Justin Hammer. You know, every now and then I get a little
that's a good
crazy, but yeah, I'll be Justin Hammer. You be the Tinkerer.
Like, you're still a
Let's work
millionaire.
together.
Like, you're still living good.
Still living good.
Yeah, we can work on something, man.
let's work
Tinkerer
together.
and Justin Hammer team up.
Let's work together.
Yo,
Yeah.
the match made in heaven. But that is it for this episode of Big Question. I want to thank Brandon for joining me on this wonderful episode. Please follow him at Grin and Barrick on Twitter. He's an amazing man. Follow me at Mastertainment on Twitter if you want to see me tweet some weird shit. But follow New Rockstars wherever we are on the internet, and especially on YouTube. When you do on YouTube, make sure to hit that notification bell so you can get notifications every time we upload a video. And if you want to continue the conversation, join our New Rockstars Discord server. If you're over 18 and interested, click the link for the New Rockstars Discord server in the description box below and join the conversation because we are having so much fun on our Discord. So come on over. We love you. And we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.